I want you guys to listen to this right here before we go on to talk about this right here. Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero, according to Dan Rayfield. 275,000 pay-per-view buys at $74.99, just about 21. Well, he's saying 22 million or so. Ticket sales, what is that? I'm not good with ticket sales. What's this going to be about? Another, 3 to 5 million at least. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments. But this is a good thing for boxing. As far as boxing is, boxing is not dying. It's not going nowhere. Even though boxing is a fucked up sport, the media is fucked up, the fighters be fucked up, the promoters be fucked up, the managers, the broadcasters, it's all fucked up. T-Street's fucked up. But one thing for sure is Tank Davis is an attraction. Now, love him or hate him, how he carried himself, alleged sex deviant, Rolly Romero did play his part as well. He is a character. So you have to contribute some of this to him. And his comeback is going to be looked at a lot. And I expect for them to milk Rolly and to, kind of back him up a little bit. Because let's not bullshit around. He was giving Tank some problems earlier in that fight. Mostly because Tank is a very smart, high IQ fighter. He tries to figure you out. He don't get enough credit for that. Tank is a very smart and educated fighter. He may not talk it, I get it. But inside that ring, he's a smart dude. And Rolly was huge. Rolly walks around at about 180 pounds. But in that ring, on that night, they both weighed in at 135. He looked like he was about, 30 to 35 pounds heavier, maybe 170 or so. But take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. We got some things to talk about on T-Street Controversy with Fight View 360. Follow me on Twitter. Down below in the description box is a Linktree app that has all my social media, Twitter, the website, my rankings, Fight View 360, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Let me know what you think. Take your time out. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe. And here we go.
I haven't heard one fighter from the PBC complain about anything, about I'm not getting paid enough, because we understand what it's about. These young men and women, they go out there and they put their lives on the line, for the entertainment of the fans, and they deserve the lion's share of money. And we also want to educate these fighters that there's life after boxing. And like what we've done with Floyd is put him in a position to, he has generational wealth. He gets a 7-figure check for the rest of his life every month.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what life is about. And he's retired at the young age, early 40, 41, with all his faculties. And he's living a fantastic life. And that's what the kind of things that I've talked to Tank about. Want to put him in a position to have generational wealth, have a great legacy, because the legacy is only defined by what we define that is, not what other people think. Because, oftentimes you hear people say, well, he's 27 years old and he ain't done this. Floyd Mayweather for his very first pay-per-view at 27 years old. But every fighter is different.
Now, let me tell you something about those pay-per-view buys. Let me tell you. Now, one thing I like about Leonard Ellaby is, he will hold court with the media. He will, talk to you. And, obviously he's going to have his own thoughts and, as a promoter, and fans don't disagree. But the thing I don't like is he openly tells us, that we really don't care about what you think. We're doing this and doing that. And it's like, okay, that may be true. But it's like, bro, your delivery's got to be a little bit better, because it comes across as like, we tell you, the consumer, what to buy and you're going to buy it. We can put Tank against anybody. And, he's a ticket seller. People are going to buy it. I get all of that. But at the same time, from a PR standpoint, really, really hardcore fans, Tank is kind of alienated. And Tank is a very smart fighter also on social media. He gets it, because every now and then he'll post some shit up on social media, on Twitter, about his true feelings and what he want to do and who he want to fight. And, he ended up taking that shit down. I have no doubt in my mind that Tank wants to fight guys like Lomachenko. He wanted to be in the Tiafimo, George Kambosos and Devin Haney and all of that. You know, it probably had to hurt a little bit to see now you got Tiafimo, you know, getting beat up by George Kambosos. Now you have Kambosos Haney, you know, fighting for undisputed. You know, like that stuff has to hurt for a fighter. Now, it's been talked about for quite some time about the PBC plan where, you know, they put fighters on allowances. I have no issues with that whatsoever. In fact, I don't like talking about fighters' money. I used to do all that shit back in the day when I first started on YouTube. You know, I used to be the guy getting, you know, 100,000 views on videos every couple of days. No bullshit. Our channel, I was on a different channel. It was called Into the Arena at the time. I started off on YouTube 10 years ago as a boxing troll. That's where the money is, doing fucking bullshit headlines on my title. Floyd Mayweather's this. I was doing the whole Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather thing. The Pactard, Flomo even thing. Even though it was all intentional, you know, it was all a money-making scheme. Just like these schemers are on YouTube now with the clickbait headlines, or they put the thumbnails to make you think that they interviewing the fighters and the fighter said this and breaking news this and sources this. That shit all be bullshit. I did it all before. So this type of stuff right here that Leonard Ellerby be doing, you know, and with Tank's career, I'm like, okay, all right, you know, I'm still going to support the fights. Fuck it. I'm still going to do my part, buy the pay-per-views and tell the degenerate boxing fans, listen, you motherfuckers always talking about what fighters should and should not be making, then buy the pay-per-views. You know, I'm all for it, you know, in the growth of the sport. But sometimes it's like, okay, you motherfuckers need to humble yourself. Now, let's go look at the rankings here, right? Tank Davis is the man. We can't, you can't deny that. Exciting in, you know, in the ring. You know, it's something about him that glows. You know, he's one of my favorite fighters of this generation. And the problem I have is, you know, I can't say it's a problem. He does have a lot of cocksuckers. And it's like, at the end of the day, look at this division. This division is on fire. But we're not going to see him fight a guy like Ryan Garcia. And I'm not blaming all PBC and all Mayweather promotions. No, I am not, because somebody like Ryan Garcia, somebody had the nerve to post on one of my videos that and I didn't know people still said this or looked at me like that I'm a PBC hater and that everything Mayweather promotions and PBC do, I want to fail. Where did that? Well, that was me 4 or 5 years ago. You know, 6, 7 years ago when I used to be the internet troll. I cover all of these fights. I buy all of these fights. I want the best for fighters. And when it comes to Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, it is on Golden Boy's side because, as Steven Espinoza said, what does DAZN and Golden Boy have to offer to do a joint pay-per-view or joint venture for Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia? It may do 1 million pay-per-view buys, 800,000, but that ain't enough for a joint broadcast. How's that going to work? So in Ryan Garcia's situation, you know, even though there's a better chance of him fighting maybe, you know, a top rank fighter, because Top Rank and Golden Boy, they will work together. You know, ESPN and DAZN, they will do like trade-offs on fight. For example, you're supposed to have Alicia Baumgartner, excuse me, I always keep calling him Baumgartner, taking on Michaela Mayer over on ESPN. But in trade, you're supposed to have Jose Ramirez going over to the zone and take on Conor Benn. Shit like that. But one thing we've learned is PBC and Mayweather Promotions, they don't budge. Ryan Garcia, I don't think that Ryan Garcia can beat Tank Davis. And you know what? That fucking clown, I am triggered. I'm triggered because somebody actually posted on my channel that they said, or they think that I have Ryan Garcia beating Tank Davis. Like, what? Ew. I'm not a fan of Ryan Garcia. He be on, like, listen. Don't get me triggered. But nah, dog, that ain't it. Don't you ever put no shit like that on me. Now, here's how it goes, right? I think that Devin Haney is going to defeat George Kambosos not once but twice, both in Australia. Once this weekend, June the 4th on ESPN and on Main Event pay-per-view over in Australia. My colleague Big J is going to be there doing the media work, boots on the ground. You know, actually out there doing the work this weekend. So we're going to have some content from them. The press conference is going to be what? About 6 hours after me shooting this video. We're going to be live streaming it. What else? I feel that Lomachenko would be the ultimate test for Tank Davis' skills. If he can beat Lomachenko, he can beat everybody in the division. That's how I genuinely feel. You know, Devin Haney, let's see how he does this weekend. Because right now, for me, as the hardcore fan, even though we may not ever see it, you know, as the hardcore fan, I want to see Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. And if let's say, for example, right? Let me just be hypothetical. Devin Haney goes on to beat Kambosos this weekend. Goes on to beat him again sometime in November, December. Then, you know, they're going to shoehorn Lomachenko in. You know, they're just going to do that. That's a part of both of their deals, from my understanding. If George wins both of the fights, or whoever wins the 2 fights, Lomachenko is going to be, you know, the third fight for these guys. And then let's say sometime the end of next year, you know, I'm guessing Haney, Kambosos, Lomachenko, that happens sometime April, May, you know, maybe sometime around this time next year. And then by the end of the year, we should see Tank Davis be in a situation, you know, where he can fight undisputed against whoever, any of those guys, and then maybe ESPN and Showtime can come together and get something done. Ryan Garcia, he's not an equation for me. But in the meantime, who does Tank Davis fight? And it's still not confirmed, despite what he may have said. He may have been just saying that to save face, but it's still not confirmed that he's going to be staying with Mayweather Promotions. It's looking like he's still, like, maybe leaving. And when you look at what Floyd Mayweather has done, Floyd Mayweather is pretty much disrespecting him. Now, you heard some things about Tank, you know, in the background about, you know, maybe him having some relations with one of Mayweather's daughters, you know, him having burnt Mayweather for some furniture and shit in the past, and Floyd Mayweather gave him a car, Tank go sell it, you know, Tank not doing what his promoter asked him to do. You may have heard some things. But as it stands right now, I really think that Tank wants to fight the best. Yeah, he wants his money, but as we see, Tank is going to get, you know, he's going to make his money. And can you imagine, let me put this out here, now this is going to trigger a lot of people. This is going to piss a lot of people off. Imagine Tank Davis on ESPN. Why y'all acting like y'all don't want that? There's going to be the heavy PBC guys and all that, but imagine, take Top Rank out of it. Imagine Tank Davis on ESPN. Now, do I think him and Bob Barrett would be a good fit? Nah. Maybe Jay Prince. Maybe Jay Prince can be the buffer. Eddie Hearn, you know, Eddie Hearn's trying to throw a lot of money at Tank Davis to try to, you know, him and Leonard Ellerbe got some beef. Ellerbe talking about stumping him out and Eddie Hearn singing and shit. I don't care about none of that. I don't think that Tank Davis should go with Eddie Hearn. He's going to run into similar problems, you know, that Devin Haney ran into. You see what I'm saying? Top Rank seems to be the way to go. Or just try to be a free agent. I know they're going to try to bully you into a multi-fight deal, but what multi-fight deal between 130 and 140, let's say, you know, that they can offer Tank Davis, you know, and that fans will be happy with. But you already heard, they don't give a fuck about the fans. Here, you know what we're going to do? Let's take a jump cut. Let's listen to what Leonard Ellerbe had to say at the post-fight press conference of Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero. You know, I think he could have worded this a lot better, but it came off real fucked up to me, especially for people who spending their money.
Leonard, there's been a lot of speculation. Tank has said a lot of things and then kind of reverse course a little bit this week. Can you clarify what his contractual situation is and how you're going to move forward with him?
No, I'm not going to discuss any fighter's contractual situation with you guys.
Are you guys still his promoter?
Yes.
Leonard, you talked about how excited you were about this fight earlier in the week. Talk about announcing that record-selling.
By the way, nearly 19,000 were in attendance. You know, a sellout, the biggest crowd in Barclays Center history for boxing, from my understanding. Here, let me find this clip, though.
What do you think his next big challenge is? What's left, if there's nothing left in the lightweight for him?
Oh, I didn't say there wasn't nothing left in the lightweight division. There's a lot left in the lightweight division. You just have to be, you guys have to be patient. Patient. You know, again, I've explained over and over and over again, you know, all these fights that you guys think are big, they aren't big. They just aren't in terms of generating revenue.
I can understand that to a certain extent. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, in regard to splitting revenue, you know, I'm going to think that's what he's saying. You know, like for example, an in-house fight, you know, you don't have to, you know, split shit with another promoter. You see what I'm saying? This 275,000, you know, like you don't. That's all in-house.
And guys aren't fighting for free. You know what I'm saying? So all these guys are good fighters. In due time, it'll happen if they are what you guys say they are. These big fights will happen. But right now, they aren't big, in my opinion. And I think I know what I'm talking about. Because if they were big, you would see these guys being able to do the kind of things that Gervonta Davis is doing. You know? And that's a fact. You see some of these guys, they can't do nothing. I'm talking about as it relates to being an attraction. All very good fighters, but you have to be able to capture the imagination of the fans, or make the fans want to come see you. You know, Tank Davis is a pay-per-view fighter, and again, tonight he shows you why. He gets it done in impressive fashion each and every time. Tank caught him with a great shot, you know. You know, all it takes is one. We're going to continue doing what we're doing.
I think you've been kind of critical just of the media, like you said, just with regard to like Tank maybe not being placed on the pound-for-pound list. Do you think that
Let me start right there. I mean, he does, you know, have a point, but sometimes you have to put your fighter against, you know, the competition, you know, so that they can draw off each other. For example, Canelo versus Caleb Plant. You know, Caleb Plant didn't really bring nothing to the table but a belt. But let's look at it though. Who does Tank, if he stays with PBC Mayweather Promotions, between 130 and 135, who does he fight that fans are really going to be clamoring for, right? Who at 130? I mean, if Gary Russell returns, that'll be something that'll get like the hardcores buzzing. But Gary Russell is really not an attraction. Let's be honest there. You know what? Is Michelle Rivera going to be an attraction? It'll be a good fight for us fans, but as he said, you know, will this guy draw? Isaac Cruz, okay, the Mexican, a lot of fans may want to see that, but I don't think that's a rematch that I really want to see right now. Up at 140, who? Gary Antoine Russell? We're talking about fighters that are available on the PBC in-house side. Prograis ain't there. Zapata ain't there. Catterall ain't there. Taylor ain't there. You think he would test the waters at 147? You think they'd do something big between him and Keith Thurman? That'd be a pay-per-view I would support. But you think they would do it? That's about it for me. Here, let's go listen to this clip.
Was really adamant about trying to get the Tank fight. How do you feel about that?
Ryan don't want to fight Tank, man. Come on, man. It's just, you know, you got guys out there like managing them, try to pump him up, and like he's some killer. You know, Ryan Garcia, like I said, he's a good fighter. Got nothing but respect for him, but he don't want none of that smoke. He don't want none of that smoke, because if he did, he'd make Golden Boy do it. And I've tried on 2 occasions that some of the reporters seem to forget when they say that, oh, Tank Davis don't want to fight none of the top fighters. But then they say that Ryan Garcia is a top fighter, but hey, we know what it is.
I have just one last question. I didn't see they did the celebrity row on the.
You know, like I don't see us seeing Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. They pretty much already said it between Steven Espinoza and Leonard Ellerbe. It ain't happening. You know, and until we hear some type of or see some press release, because if Tank Davis does leave PBC and Mayweather Promotions, we will see some type of, you know, press release. Or what if he just goes just the PBC route away from Mayweather Promotions? That's still not going to get him, you know, like fights with other promoters. But only time will tell, you know, because right now, you know, I'm happy for Tank, but at the same time, you know, it's frustrating because we're seeing a guy who's now getting older, and you're wondering, like, damn, all these good fighters out here we're likely never going to see him. We're likely never going to see him. I'm not saying, I don't know. We don't know. With the way things are right now, we don't know if we're going to see him against Devin Haney. You know what, until what, they're 34, 35 years old? We don't know if we're going to see him against Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko. You know, like, we don't know. Only time will tell. I'm T Street Controversy with Fight View 360. And PBC, they like to play the game. Look what they did with Crawford, pretty much. Like, nah, wait till his contract over. We're not going to give him nothing to eat, you know, until he come over to our place. You see what I'm saying? Like, that shit. But it is what it is. Boxing is a business, they tell us. I'm not going to act like I don't know any better. You know, but now it's got to a point where they're just blatantly telling us, like, you know, and these pay-per-view buys, yes, they're impressive, but at the end of the day, what do they really do, and what will they do for us, the hardcore fans? It's not designed for us. They're not going to give us what we want. Now that Tank can sell against pretty much, no disrespect to Rolly, but anybody, what's going to stop them from putting him against Michelle Rivera, you know, on pay-per-view and say, pay $75 for this? In the same month that you're paying for a Canelo pay-per-view. Now, this may even help them, you know, put 2 pay-per-views on in a month. Outrageous. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and T Street Controversy with Fight View 360. Links to my social media are right down below in the description box. Thanks for watching.